Hello guys, I'm Bethany and welcome back to my channel. Today we are getting cozy. I'm like getting comfortable on the couch because it's gonna be a chill video. We're gonna be doing a bookish Q&A and I am very excited. I love doing these. I love watching these. I've never done one on YouTube, but I've done it on my Instagram and like answered questions on my stories. So I thought I would do a video where I answer some of your bookish questions that you asked on my Instagram, and that's what we're doing. I think this is the last day of Bookmas, so how sad that this Bookmas is over, but I will be posting in December still. It just probably won't be as frequently, but I've had so much fun creating this content and posting every day. It's really so much fun. Like I wish I could do it all the time, but it's also a lot of work. I feel like all I've been doing is filming and editing, but it's so much fun and I love being able to post it and create this content for you. So anyways, let's get to it. Should I sketch you back a little bit? A couple people asked what books I'm most excited to read in 2024, releases I'm looking forward to. I'm so glad you asked. I have a lot. So books I'm most excited to read, releases. I don't know if you're wanting me to answer like books that are out already that I'm excited to read. I'm just gonna do releases, I think. First, Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I love her books so much, so excited for that. The Rule Book by Sarah Adams, we know. Magnolia Park's Into the Dark, Magnolia Park's 3, very excited for that. Taming 7 by Chloe Walsh. So excited. Also in January, Destroy the Day comes out, which is the third book in the Defy the Night series, which I read earlier this year. So excited for that book. I need to know what happens. Is that it? The most excited? I'm also excited obviously for Funny Story by Emily Henry. Also Renee Carlino, who wrote Before We Were Strangers. She's coming out with a book next year, I think in the summer. Don't really know what it's about and I haven't read a lot of her books, but I love Before We Were Strangers, as we know. So I really want to read her like new release. So I think those are a few that I'm most excited to read in 2024. What's your favorite microtrope? Okay, we know. Who Did This to You always hits when the female main character is sick and the male main character takes care of her. So sweet. What else? I feel like I have so many, but I can't think off the top of my head when I literally cannot think of any more microtropes. Okay, well, if I think of more, I'll let you know. What book do you love that you think deserves more hype? Love this question. I think anything by Allison Ashley, specifically The Raiment Pact, that's my favorite book by her, but I feel like her books are so good and they don't get much hype. I feel like no one really talks about them. I don't see very many people talk about them, and I think they are so good. Like, she's one of my favorite authors of all time. I love her so much. I love her books. Next would be Happy Place by Emily Henry. I think she's not talked about enough. I'm just kidding. Ooh, I think Lease on Love by Fallon Ballard. I love that book so much and I think it deserves more hype. I feel like I never hear anybody talk about that. I've heard a couple people, but I love that book. It's one of my favorite books of 2022. Definitely think that book deserves more hype. Also, I really loved Dream On by Angie Hockman. I feel like I've never heard, well, I've only heard a couple people talk about the book and I really loved it. I read it in January of this year. So good. Really enjoyed it. Favorite no spice romance book recommendations. So I have a few videos on my like favorite romance book recommendations, Closed Door, No Spice, but my favorite authors are Sarah Adams. Well, the Rule Book is not going to be Closed Door, but she's going to have like modifications where you don't have to read the spice, but all of her past books are Closed Door. Juliana Smith, all of her books are Closed Door and they are so good. Haley Gardner, some of Allison Ashley's books are Closed Door, some aren't, but those are like my top authors if you're looking for Closed Door. Average pages read in a day. Okay, so sometimes I will literally read like 5 pages, 0 pages. Sometimes I won't read at all, and sometimes I'll read like 300 pages or like 150 pages and then start another book. Like it really depends on the day, but I feel like average like 50 to 100 pages, maybe. If I like really am in the reading mood, I feel like I'm reading that much a day, but usually like if I'm reading a book, I'm hopefully enjoying it enough to just want to binge it, so I will read like a good chunk in a day. Yesterday, I read like 150 pages maybe. Saturday I finished a book and then read like 100 more pages of a different book. So it really just depends. Sometimes I'll read a ton, like I'll binge a whole book. Sometimes I won't read it all. So next is most overhyped books, which also kind of goes along with the next question, which is, do you like ACOTAR or Fourth Wing better? So I'm about to hurt some people's feelings. But like I understand that people love these books and they love them for good reason. I'm sure like they enjoyed them, they like them, blah blah blah. But to answer your question, I think I like the ACOTAR series more than the series that it's out of Fourth Wing so far. But I do feel like I enjoyed Fourth Wing. I don't know. Honestly, I think I like ACOTAR more than Fourth Wing. I did enjoy Fourth Wing. I thought it was fun, but I feel like since I read like the full ACOTAR series, I liked it more. But I literally basically DNF'd Iron Flames, so like don't really like that series. I do think Fourth Wing is overhyped because I feel like there's so many better fantasies out there. I feel like people love that book because they usually don't read fantasy and then they pick up Fourth Wing and so they're like, oh my gosh, this is so good. But I'm like, girly, there's more out there, you know? But I do think like overhyped, like people love a book for a reason, so. But I feel like those are really hyped books that I don't love. Like, I talk about it pretty often that I didn't love ACOTAR, but I did love A Court of Mist and Fury, the second book. Like, that was my favorite in the series and I did enjoy it. But the third one I didn't really love, but I would say I like the ACOTAR series more than Fourth Wing. Next, how old were you when you found a love for reading? Did you have any book slumps? So I have always loved to read. Like, I was a kid in elementary school, borrowing so many books from the library, literally racking up those AR points. If you know, you know. So I just feel like I've always loved to read. And then in high school, I kind of like stopped reading because I had to read for class, and then I had to read for college when I went to college. And so I just like didn't read for fun. And then in 2020, I got back into reading during COVID. And I feel like I've just been in my reading era ever since. But I've loved reading since I was a kid. And I definitely have reading slumps. I don't know if I had them as a kid. I probably like, I feel like I just spent years like stopped reading because I was reading for school. But in the past few years of reading, I got in a big reading slump last December. Like, I literally didn't want to read, and what got me out of it was the Shatter Me series. And then sometimes I'll get in them every once in a while, I'll feel slumpy, and then I'll like try to combat the slump with reading a book that I know is gonna be super fast paced, or just like not reading for a few days, and that helps me. But I definitely get in reading slumps, but I haven't had a bad one since last December. I think that was pretty rough, but I kind of did it to myself because I read like 5 Christmas books in a row. I was just reading a lot. So anyways, yes, I do get in reading slumps. How excited are you for the rule book? Girl, I am so excited for the rule book. Like, you don't even know. I'm so excited. I'm trying to get that arc. I want to read this book so bad. I actually reread the cheat sheet this year, like a couple months ago, and I'm so excited for the rule book. Like, it just made me more excited for the rule book. I am so excited. Like, I need to read it right at this moment. What's a book that surprised you this year, either a good or bad surprise? I would say the Boys of Tommen series. Like, I literally one of my favorite series of all time, and I did not expect that. Like, I was avoiding that series like the plague for so long, and then I read it, and it's literally one of my favorite series of all time, and I am shocked by that. Like, you're just as shocked as I am. So it was such a surprise, and I loved it so much. Also, I feel like the Magnolia Park series was also kind of a surprise because I read the first one and didn't like it, and then I reread, or like I started Daisy Hates and read it and loved it so much. So I feel like those are books that I didn't expect to love. Like, not love, but like literally obsess and make my entire personality. What's one book that you would recommend to new readers? Love this question. Honestly, me saying my favorite series, the Shatter Me series. I think it's so much fun. Like, I feel like if you just want something fast paced, interesting, like the plot's interesting, but also the romance is so good, I would highly recommend the Shatter Me series. And I would also always recommend like Sarah Adams or Abby Jimenez, because I feel like their books are so easy to read. Before We Were Strangers, obviously, I think that one is so fast paced. If I'm ranking them, Before We Were Strangers, you're literally not gonna be able to put it down. It's so good. The Shatter Me series, if you're wanting a little bit of like a fun plot that's like fantasy dystopian with romance. Anything by Abby Jimenez, because I feel like her books are so good. Like, you just don't want to put them down. The romance is so good. She also has like emotional aspects to them. And then Sarah Adams always hits, you know what I mean? Favorite book boyfriends, rank them. Love this question. We love book boyfriends. So my top book boyfriends, honestly, it's hard to rank them, but I would say my top 3 are Aaron Warner, Julian Hates, and Jacob from Yours Truly. I don't know, like, I go back and forth. Like, I think Aaron Warner would be number 1, but it is so hard. Like, Aaron Warner, Julian, and then Jacob. I don't know. But the thing about Aaron and Julian is they're like morally great characters, but Jacob is the most wholesome, sweet man I've ever read. So they're completely different. So I'm struggling, but those are like my top. Also really love Joey from the Boys of Tommen series. I feel like he's a new favorite book boyfriend of mine because oh, my heart goes out for him and I love him so much. So those are my top, probably. Aaron Warner, Jacob, Julian Hates. I don't know, this is so hard. I can't do it. Don't make me. How do you read so many books a year? Great question. I don't know the answer. I'm just kidding. I feel like, personally, I don't think I read super fast. I feel like I just read a lot. Like, I just make a lot of time to read. I feel like I read like 10 to 12 books a month, which is a lot. But I think it's because I just make a lot of time to read. Like, at night, I'm like reading, like might be reading like 5-hour stretch, or all weekend I'm reading. Like, I feel like some weekends I'll finish like 3 books because I'm just reading all weekend. And so I feel like I just read a ton, and that's how I read so many books in a year. So I don't really know, it's not really helpful. And also I feel like just with like my job and stuff, I just have the flexibility to do that. So anyways, what is your least favorite genre? Thrillers. I'm just a scaredy cat, be honest. I just can't do it. What's a book you will never read? I would say A Little Life by, I don't know who that's by, but I will never read that ever in my life. I actually Googled a summary of what happens. It's brutal and terrible. Never read that book ever in my life. Any dark romance, not gonna read. What's a book you wish you could get everyone to read? Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. I want everyone to read that book because it's so good. So good. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It's so good. Oh my gosh. What was your least favorite book of 2023? Whew, okay, let's see. Oh, I already know. It was either Akawar, A Court of Wings and Ruin, or Reckless by Elsie Silver. Those are my least favorite books of the year. And let's move on. What's your reading goal for 2024? I really want to like read all of my physical TBR. I talked about this a little bit in my end of year TBR tag, but I really want to just read all of it. And the books that I don't want to read, I like donate them, sell them or something like that, because I'm not gonna read them if they've been on there for like months and months and months and I haven't read them, I clearly don't want to read them. So I'd like to just empty out my physical TBR. I also kind of just want to read more books that I feel like aren't as well known, or like indie authors, or books that like aren't super hyped, because I do read hyped books, but also would like just to find new authors, new books that people like I haven't heard much about. What's a book you've been wanting to read for ages but haven't gotten to yet? Honestly, probably Crescent City, because I've been saying for months I'm gonna read Crescent City and I just haven't, and I do plan to read it before the third one comes out in January. So that's one book I really want to read. What else? Honestly, I feel like that's the only books that I haven't gotten to yet that I really want to read, because I feel like most books I'm like itching to get to, so I just read really quick. Like they release, I just read them really quick. So I feel like there's no new releases that I have that I want to still read. So what are some books you DNF'd this year? We're getting spicy, we're getting juicy here. So a few of the books that I DNF'd: one, Mile High by Liz Tomford. I DNF'd that book, but I did read The Right Move and caught up and loved them. So I don't know if it was just that one and the plot, I don't really know, but I DNF'd it like 150 pages. I couldn't do it. And I feel like when I DNF, I really try to give the book a chance, and it just doesn't work. Next would be Red Queen by, I don't know who wrote that, but I also gave that book like 150 pages and just didn't care about the plot, the storyline. I even skipped to the end to see what the plot twist was, didn't care, and I returned my entire box set because I was just not gonna read it. So that's another book I DNF'd. I basically have DNF'd Iron Flame because I'm like 160 pages in, I think. I've been listening on audio, but not really. So kind of DNF'd that one. Just Another Love Song, I got halfway through and I really want to read eventually, but also kind of DNF'd. I think that's all the books I DNF'd. I feel like I don't DNF many books because most of the time if I read like 20 or 30 pages and I'm not interested, I'll just put it down, and I don't consider that DNFing unless it's like 100, 150 pages in. Like I really gave it a shot, you know what I mean? Top 3 favorite book series. Okay, so I would say the Shatter Me series, Magnolia Park's Universe, and the Boys of Tommen series. Honestly, the Boys of Tommen series is like, it's like neck and neck with Magnolia Parks, which is kind of crazy. I just love that series so much, which I was shocked by. I also really love Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves and Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. Those are like duologies, but love those so much. Top 3 favorite authors: Abby Jimenez, Sarah Adams, Allison Ashley, Jessa Hastings. Is that it? I feel like I'm just saying the same things over and over again, but I think those are my favorite authors. Do you prefer to buddy read or read a book by yourself? I feel like I'm not good at buddy reading because I just either read it too fast. Most of the time I just like binge the book, and so it's not really buddy reading because I already finished it and then they haven't. So I'll probably read by myself because I am not good at buddy reading. My dog is barking because the mail is running. Okay, how do you feel about annotating books? I actually love annotating books that are like my favorite books. I feel like I used to not like writing books at all, but I feel like I've started rereading and annotating my favorite books, like underlining, highlighting, which I never thought I would do. But also it was like just the Magnolia Parks universe, the only books that I had written in, and now I've like reread books, annotated them, and it's so much fun. I feel like I don't usually like write in a book that I read for the first time because I'm like, what if I just end up not liking it? Even if I like a quote, what if I just don't like the book? And then I don't want to write in it because I feel like I can't really like sell it or get rid of it if I write in it. But like my favorite books, I love annotating. It's so much fun, and I love going back and looking at the quotes. It's a blast. And in 2024, I really want to reread more of my favorite books and annotate them because it's so much fun. Would you rather break the spine of every book you own or never read your favorite book again? Zoe, why are you doing this to me? That is so hard. Maybe never read your favorite book again? No, that's but I don't want to bend my spine. Maybe not read my favorite book again because it lives in my mind forever. It lives in my heart forever, you know what I mean? But also I'm such a rereader. Okay, that was too hard. I'm gonna move on. What's a book someone told you to read that is now a favorite? Honestly, anything by Bridget Kimmerer, because my friend Allie loves her and she recommended Defy the Night, Defend the Dawn, and Call It What You Want, and I love those books so much. I feel like she has great book recs. Honestly, I feel like all the books I read, someone on Instagram or YouTube told me to read, so. But those are a few that like come to mind. We're having an intermission because my dog is barking. Let's move on to the last question. Last question is, do you prefer giving book recs or receiving them? And honestly, I feel like I kind of love giving book recs because it's so fun to like tell someone a book that I love and then they read it and love it too. Like that is so much fun. I love receiving book recs, but sometimes I don't like the books, or I might like not be interested in the plot. I don't really know, but I love giving them. It's so fun. So anyways, I think that's all the questions that I had. I hope you enjoyed. Love getting to sit and chat with you. It was a blast. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed Bookmas. I had so much fun creating this content for you, and I'm so excited for the rest of the videos that I'm gonna make in December and what's to come in 2024. I've had the best year with you guys. It's been so much fun, and I'm so thankful for you. So I think that's it, and I'll see you very soon for my next video. Bye.